So I'm starting off today's project with some book text. I have a page of text and I have a page of music text. I'm also going to use the cracked pistachio distress oxide, which I'm going to put onto my craft mat with some faded jeans distress oxide, and I'm also going to add a small amount of the fossilized amber distress oxide onto my glass cutting mat too. Then I'm going to spritz it with some water to activate the inks. Then I'm going to swirl my finger around just to mix them up a little bit, and then I'm going to dab my book text pages into the ink to get a kind of swirly mottled effect. I'm going to do both pages, and I'm going to keep on going until I'm happy with the amount of ink that's on each page. Then I'm going to bring out my heat gun, give it a blast, get it dried, and then decide whether I need to add any more colour. And in this case I do. I wanted to add a little bit more yellow to it, so I'm just adding some of that fossilised amber with some of the water, and then just dabbing and adding some of the yellow fossilised amber ink onto the pages, and then bring up the heat gun once again, get it all dried, ready to move on. So when dry, I'm going to add some stamping to those pages. So to do that, I'm using the Ink Splat stamp set by Limo Weber, and I'm also going to use the Vintage Photo Distress Oxide ink too. So I'm going to load up the stamp and then just stamp a couple of times onto the book text and music text. So happy with that stamping. Before I get the heat gun out onto it, I just want to activate those oxide inks, and I'm just going to give them a quick spritz over, then grab the heat gun and dry them before sticking them down. So my project today is one of those pages from my tag journal that I found. So I'm going to just tear up one of the pages, and I'm going to stick it down using the matte collage page from Aliens by Tracy Bautista. I'm just going to cover the tag with those two sheets that I've created with the distress oxides. And of course the distress oxide inks are water based, so will reactivate slightly once again with the collage page once you stick it down. So that matte medium will make the oxide ink reactivate, but only slightly. So now that my sheets are stuck down and sealed with that collage page, I'm going to bring out my heat gun and make sure it's all nice and dry before trimming off the excess. So I've just grabbed a pair of scissors. I'm just going to go around the outside just very carefully and just remove any of the book text paper that's hanging over the edge of the tag. So I'm happy with that. So I want to add some more ephemera bits. So to do that, I'm going to use the Tim Holtz Layers ephemera collection. I've already pulled out 3 pieces that I want to use on the tag. So just using the triangle collage glue stick from Ranger, I'm just going to stick those down as they are. I've not gone and roughed up the edges or added any distress to them because I'm going to add some more colours and stuff to these a little bit later. So I'm just going to stick them down as they are with that collage glue stick. So once my ephemera pieces are in place, I'm just going to leave it for a few minutes just to grab and dry before grabbing that pair of scissors again and then flipping the tag over and just removing the excess from the outside of the tag again. I'm going to grab that stamp set again. This time I'm going to use that coffee ring stamp with the Distress Oxide again. That's the vintage photo. I'm just going to add some of those elements. I'll just stamp a couple of places around the tag using that coffee ring. And of course I'm going to activate the oxide ink with that spritz bottle just to add a little bit of water and then grab the heat gun and then get it all nice and dry before moving on. So my focal image I've printed off on my laser printer and I've just trimmed out taken off all the excess around the outside, just leaving a tiny little white border, and I'm just going to stick it down using that collage glue stick again. And this is a fantastic image of an owl dressed in human clothing. I think is absolutely fantastic. Now I am going to make this image available on my website in both black and white and also in colour if you don't want to colour them in yourself. I'll also include some ephemera for you to stick into the background on this collage set as well. So once my Mr. Owl is stuck down, I'm just going to go over the top of him with that matte medium just to seal him in place. Now because I've used a laser printer, I've got no issues with the colour blending or bleeding, so it will just seal in so that I can add colour over the top. So once I've gone over the entire image, making sure that I've covered every little part, make sure it's all stuck down with that collage page, I can then bring out my heat gun just to dry them off, and then I can start adding some colour with my Faber-Castell Pitt pens. And those of you that know the artist Pitt pens, these are India ink, which means that while they're still wet, you can blend them with your finger or with a Q-tip, but once they're dry, they are permanent. So they're perfect for adding colour onto collage elements like this. But this is the reason why I added that matte medium over the top, first of all, so that I had a little bit of time to be able to blend it with my finger before it actually dries. Works better on a non-porous surface. So once I've added all the main colour to the interior of my Mr. Owl, I'm going to grab one of the brown colours and I'm just going to add a little bit around the outside just to add some shading, just to give him a little bit of pop on the actual tag itself. But adding these shadows and the shading just gives it a little bit more of a pop off the tag. So once I'm happy with all that shading and brown around the tag, I need to add a little phrase or a little quote onto my tag. Now to do that, I'm going to use the Tim Holtz Small Talk stickers, and I've chosen one of the phrases from that collection, and there's the black one with the white writing, and it says, "Be open to whatever comes next." So I'm happy with the way that looks, so now I just need to open the hole at the top of the tag so I can reattach it into my tag journal. So this is only the second page that I've done in my tag journal. So just before I add it back in, I just want to assign it and date it. So I'm just going to use the Pigma number 5 micron pen, just add my signature and the date of creation, and then I can grab the tag journal and just add it back in place. So once the tag's back in place, I think I'm going to call this project complete. So I hope you've enjoyed watching me create this mixed media art tag. I absolutely love that focal point, that image of the owl in the clothing. I think is just so expressive. So if you have enjoyed it, please remember to give the video a thumbs up, share the video with all your friends, and if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel already, you can do so by clicking the button at the end of the video. That's all from me for now. I will see you all again real soon. Bye for now.